Oh yes, legends, how's everybody doing? Let's analyze the situation here for the price of Bitcoin and also some other cryptocurrencies. How is everybody doing? I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic today. Let's analyze the situation all together. How is everybody doing, guys? Let me just go quickly through the comment section and say hello to the beautiful community, of course, as always, guys. Jerome, here he is, the man himself. Much love to you, legend. Staffer one, also El Profesor. Andy, how are you doing, my man? I'm doing very, very well. It's been absolutely awesome the last few weeks. Bitcoin hitting all-time high and maximizing the profits from the swing long position. And now I'm looking for another big swing position for the price of Bitcoin, and I'm going to explain a little bit of what I am looking for. Okay, so we'll be talking about the different possibilities, how the price could develop in the next coming days, and what do we need to see to get that confirmation, because it's looking good for new all-time highs to happen in the next, give or take, 1 week, maybe 2, maybe a few days. It looks like that a range could be on the formation throughout the next coming days. I'll explain why in today's live stream. We got a major rejection. The short position from all-time high as a swing failure pattern was not a bad option. We did mention this throughout a stream a few days ago, that if we do pump from this zone to hit all-time highs, continuation breakout is highly unlikely. Now, I missed out on this short position because it was late night on, basically on Wednesday, very late night. I had a limit take profit zone for my swing longs, but it was not a bad idea to consider a short position. And the main reason why is because, you have the possibility, of forming either 7 waves, and what you're looking in a 7-wave move is a double zigzag, a WXY double zigzag, or potentially finishing a 1, 2, 3. All of this is your third wave, and inside of the third wave, your 5th wave is an extension, which is very much acceptable. 4 and 5, finishing a 5-wave move to the upside and get the correction. Or on the other scenario, looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then eventually, if you have 5-wave move here, you need some kind of large correction, right? This would be a too shallow in time of a correction. And if you get a movement to the upside, you need to consider the flat. And the flat always comes down to sweep up the lows. Not always, it could be a running flat, but most of the times. So the main question right now, what the heck is going to happen? We have several scenarios, and most of them point out that all-time high is very much expected. As the probabilities lean for the bulls, I am mainly interested in re-entering swing long positions throughout multiple exchanges. This is what I have been doing throughout the last few weeks, managing to profit massively from this swing long position, making over 100K on that position. It might be more because I do see it hitting all-time high. Okay, so obviously positioning myself on those swing longs, and I am interested in new swing long positions. However, we do have a few scenarios, and I want to see the range develop a little bit more. Okay, when we had this momentum, I understood with this analysis that a breakdown here successfully to go to much lower levels is highly unlikely. And that's where we want to be very, very aggressive. I was already in swing long positions from the 115K, right? And then we got the bullish market structure, beginning signs, and that's where we want to start being confident, right? That's the moment for me that I'm like, now is the moment that I have extreme high probability on the market, realizing that this is a 3-wave corrective structure, and looking for that movement up to hit all-time high, which was the ultimate target zone. So I need something very similar, guys. We need something similar to get into a heavy good position. And everything points out that all-time high is also likely going to be hit. Now, we've been talking about this for, a couple of weeks right now. just purely based about this 3-wave structure up. It's very, very disturbing. For me, it counts much better as a 3-wave move up, okay, instead of a 5-wave move up. Now, the problem is with getting a 3-wave move up here in the middle is that it's not an impulse. It is part of a corrective structure, ABC. If you have an ABC to the upside, you need to start zooming out and look at the different possibilities. And what leans highly likely to happen in the next coming weeks is to form an ascending contracting diagonal. This remains the highest probability at the moment for Bitcoin, which means that even still expecting all-time high in the next coming, give or take 1 or 2 weeks, or maybe days. We're getting into the weekend right now, which is very well known to have low volatility most of the weekends. Not always, but most of the weekends do have low volatility, meaning that you're probably going to get into a little bit of a range structure. So looking at this scenario, the main reason why it leans on the highest probability is because of the middle wave, the 3rd wave in the middle. From that big corrective structure that we formed back in late 2024, early 2025, we got a massive rally. This rally does count very well for a double zigzag structure, okay? It can also be counted as a 5-waver, okay? The same as the lower time frame here, but it also counts as a double zigzag. I mean, there is a way of counting a 5-wave move to the upside. It is acceptable. The same scenario here, there could be a 5-waver. However, your wave 4 is very small. So you're kind of trying to push something that is really not there. This is why it remains highly likely that this is a 3-wave move to the upside. And if that is the case, then eventually you're looking at a 3-wave move here in a double zigzag. And eventually a contracting diagonal, okay, is formed also by 3-wave structures here on the correction. So what we are potentially looking at here is a 3-wave move to the upside. And that is the moment that we can really be concerned that we could be getting that corrective move in September. Okay, get a little bit of a decent move down in September, very possibly. And when we do take a look at the data, and I know a lot of people, and we understand that history, right, doesn't repeat, but it can rhyme. So far, when we do take a look, guys, and I'll probably need to get myself a little bit smaller here. I mean, coincidence? I think not, because we were discussing this in the previous months, that July and August were bullish post-halving years. 2016 was the halving year. 2017 was the massive bull run year for Bitcoin and crypto. And July and August, post-halving year, right, the year after, was very, very bullish, July and August. Same scenario in 2021. Halving in 2020. 2021 was bullish in July and also in August. And in July we're saying, hey, it might be bullish because it has been bullish post-halving years in the past. Eventually, yeah, July was very bullish. August is still slightly bullish, and I do believe it will end bullish throughout the next coming weeks. We're probably just going to be correcting and forming a little bit of sideways momentum for a few days, and then get that leg to the upside, ending August to hit all-time high, potentially hit. My projection is in between $126,000 and $132,000 range before we get a very strong pullback potentially in September. We are using this data. History does not need to repeat, guys. It's just a projection. Combining it with the analysis here using Elliott wave theory, right? Looking at the past performance of post-halving years just to get a general idea of how these months do perform. And September's not been the greatest month, right? September was not the greatest month. We had a 7.4% move to it closed in negative, okay, in 2017, and in 2021, also 7%. Now, I haven't checked exactly the chart, but it probably dropped a little bit more and maybe recovered, but ultimately it closed in negative, right? So, I mean, when you do take a look at the percentage here, if you were to calculate a 7% drop, right, it might be more, it might be 20%. And as it recovers in September, it closes, 10 or 7%. So this remains the highest probability looking at the higher time frame, okay, for the moment. Is there a possibility that your fifth wave is in already? Because we did hit all-time high. There is a double zigzag possible count here in a three-wave structure, as we were explaining yesterday. However, it's not too symmetrical in timing. It is true that in a contracting diagonal, as you get to wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, the waves are shorter in time, right? They are shorter in time, smaller in timing, right? Eventually, your wave 1 is the longest in time. Wave 2 is slightly shorter. Wave 3 is slightly shorter. Wave 4 is slightly shorter than 3. And wave 5 is shorter eventually than 4. I think it would be too quick to say that we are going to get a bigger pullback. I mean, looking at the technicals, that we do have a 5-wave move to the upside. Looking at the technicals without considering timing to get a larger pullback, I mean, it is there. However, this wave to the upside is a little bit too quick in time, okay? You can count 5 waves. This is why it's super important to understand how the price could develop in the coming days, where we are going to get that crucial information. And that's where I'm going to get into my next big swing trade position, right? I'm very interested in that big swing. And regardless if it's a short or a long, I prefer long for the moment eventually, just purely based on the local price action. And for this to finish a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's finished here, it would be a little bit too quick, okay? So preferably we do get some kind of a 3-wave move to the upside to then have this a little bit more symmetrical, okay? A little bit more symmetrical here throughout the next coming days. Finish that sideways corrective structure and then look for the price to gain that momentum. So we'll be going through the lower time frames. Now I want to discuss why there's a low probability in the super bullish momentum, okay? This, for the moment, I mean, the structure is bullish. For this to be a wave 1, wave 2, you can fit a 5-wave structure, 3-wave corrective structure, crystal clear. Then this move up is where we have the problem. For a double 1, 2, 3-wave structure, crystal clear, corrective, all-time high, all good. There is a problem in this wave. It counts much better as a 3-waver. And that's where we struggle on believing that this is a major impulsive move, which doesn't fit very nice. So yeah, this scenario is a little bit for the moon boys, which currently holds the lowest probability scenario, where we snap out here in a 3rd wave, right? 4, 5, we just go to Valhalla. And, this has low probability because of this momentum that we had in a 3-wave structure, leaning on the highest probability scenario being this ascending contracting diagonal. So now is where we do go through the lower time frames and try and understand, where the heck are we, right? Where are we? What are we doing? And how the price could develop. What are the major levels of confluence that we take into consideration to really jump in that big trade, right? That could make us some significant profits, just as we were talking about in the last few weeks. It took a long time, guys. It did take 2-3 weeks to really say, I'm looking at this to be a correction. Breaking down from the lows is unlikely. I'm in swing longs and I will be ready to add to swing longs. One of them did get stopped out at 112K. They got stopped out and the price left without me. Luckily, a few of them did not get stopped out. And then obviously with this recovery, very much confident that, we are going to get that movement up, okay, in the next coming days, give or take 1 to 2 weeks to head up to all-time high. And that was the big trade, right? When it's swing trading, guys, it does take a few weeks to develop, all right? But patience and analysis on the highest probability scenarios did pay off big time in the end, banking that 100K profit. Very, very nice indeed. It did take a few weeks, but it was worth the wait. So I want to explain how we want to position ourselves, guys, right? For now, you might believe, well, the scenario that you were talking about yesterday, this is still very much valid, okay? This is a valid scenario where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have an ABC flat here. We are, finding support at the point of control. Some people say that the CME gap is filled. It's not filled. It's not technically filled. We were missing out by a few $100s here filling the CME gap, which, I don't really care about the gap too much, but just something to point out. And we are finding support after sweeping the lows. The overall question right now, eventually, is this the scenario that's going to play out? It would be nice, because this right over here would be your wave 1. Well, your wave A, because we are looking for a 3-wave move to the upside, okay? And this would be wave B. I am looking for this correction, whatever happens in this zone, to be a B wave instead of a second wave. And that comes with the general idea that was mentioned in the last few weeks of the contracting diagonal, right? Which we are only looking for one more wave to the upside, unfortunately, and then getting a decent pullback down potentially throughout September, guys, which is mainly known as a bearish month. The data is the data. We could not ignore this. Sometimes it turns into green, but mainly September is not the greatest month. So, with that general idea, we're looking for a 3-wave move up, just like the 3rd wave here. You got your first wave up. Now it's overall detecting, when are we bottoming out here, right? Where is the low? Where is the low? Will it be 116K where we have a weekly naked point of control? Will we get to the value area low? Will we, you might think, hey, if you're confident enough that this is going to be bullish, why not get into a long position now? Why not? Stop loss beneath the low. If you get a bit of more information throughout the next coming days, boom, 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 you get a bit of bullish market structure, add a little bit to the position, boom, wait for the pop, 128, 130K, you want to start getting out eventually. It's an option, guys. It all depends on your trading style. I'm more into swing trading at the moment. It's been playing out very, very nicely for me throughout the last couple of months. So, it's an idea, right? Because we always want to get into the best level, right? The best level, I want to get in at the lowest level possible, or I want to get into a break of trend, right? I think we need to remain a little bit patient, at least with my style, unless you're scalping and you want to get into VWAP point of control, naked point of control, right? And you want to get into aggressive scalping and you're looking for movements of $1,000, then, that's a different style. I'm looking for bigger swings, okay? I'm looking for movements of, at least 5,000, if it's 10,000, even better. So probabilities do remain that the high is not in yet, and it all has to do with this structure as well. It has to do with this structure to the upside as well, that it looks unfinished. It's very one-wavy. It's too fast for this to be a 5th wave. I have to say, too shallow. It did hit the highs. That's fine. It did hit the highs. So you can really label this as your wave 5 already in this contracting diagonal. But the timing is too fast, okay? At least for me. You want to be aware that, hey, what if it breaks down in the next coming days? Well, that maybe the 5th wave was in already here. I think that remains low probability, and it just has to do with timing. Okay, a bit too fast for this to finish right there in the double top. We never like double tops if you still remain bullish, right? Man, this is the moment where a lot of people say, that's it. It's it. Double top for Bitcoin. It's over, right? It would have been an epic short position, but this was midnight for me, so I was in bed already. but would have considered taking that short based on the analysis that we made a few days ago, right? That we're unlikely going to break up here very, very aggressively here, guys. Let me know if you did manage to short. This was about 1 a.m. my time, so I didn't manage to get into a swing failure pattern, and it was a high probability short position. Let me know in the comment section, guys, did anybody short Bitcoin throughout the last 2 days, right? Wednesday night or Thursday early morning, depending on where you are in the world. But it was a high probability rejection, okay, to happen. Let me know in the comment section. I'll be happy to read if anybody is short on Bitcoin, because I am not short, guys. I've only been mainly long in the last few weeks, and it would have been nice to get into a short, to be honest. Okay, pump up the bass. Let's go. Yes, let's get that music popping here for the legends. A little bit higher, right? A little bit higher. Get that background music popping. Okay, let's go. Like the song, How Low Can You Go? All right, legends, let's go through comment section. Pac-Man, my brother, much love. Thank you for joining the stream. It's time to give a bit of love here for the people. Suzanne, always put stop loss in profit if you up. Also, absolutely. Thanks to stop loss, I'm still up. Thanks to stop loss, I'm still up. Alt season to start. What do you mean? Yeah, altcoin season to start. There is the chart that I want to talk about, the Bitcoin dominance, that I'm very, very skeptical about the Bitcoin dominance continuing to nuke down, guys, for the next coming weeks. Chopping here on the breakdown from the recent lows is getting exhausted. The breakdown is getting exhausted here on the Bitcoin dominance, and that is extremely important to understand, just to be aware of a reversal. I don't want to get anybody scared. We should be positioned in altcoins anyway, on spot mainly as well. You know, I haven't sold any of the altcoins that I have from the last few months and last few years, ICP being the main one. I do understand that $4 can be reached, but the Bitcoin dominance, you know, this is the moment that a lot of people are screaming for altcoin season, and I have no doubt in my mind that we will see an epic Q4 of this year, and altcoins will be rallying like crazy. However, I have a little bit of caution on a potential bounce on the Bitcoin dominance. And that is just using the probabilities based on Elliott wave theory. When you do have your first initial movements to the downside, you want to label them as your first waves, right? The ones that don't have much power. Then you get the big powerful move down. And it's extremely rare to get an extreme powerful move down continued after the big powerful move down already happened. It does happen, it can happen, but it's rare. As we do take a look at probabilities based on history, right, of the charts, it is rare to get a major breakdown on the dominance, on any asset, right? When you've already had a big move down. It's just something to be aware of. Okay, it doesn't mean I'm going to sell my altcoins and buy later on, because it's just not worth it. I've been holding altcoins for years. So it's just for those people that are extremely bullish and that they felt the hype of that rally that we had in the last few days. When you do take a look at the breakdown after the big movement down, it's starting to get a bit exhausted, okay? You can see the breakdowns are not breaking down massively, and that's where you get the potential last wave finishing before you get a larger relief rally. So obviously Bitcoin dominance going up will have a little bit of a shakeout, right? Or sideways momentum for some altcoins, and it's just something to be aware of, okay? Let's take a look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin right now is taking a little bit of dumpy action. It is dumping down locally on the lower time frame. We'll be discussing the different scenarios, guys, that I want to see for me to take my next big trade, okay? I'm going big on Bitcoin. I'm going big on swing trades. I'm not that interested in scalping. You know, yesterday you had a little bit of a swing failure pattern, got a little bounce of $1,000, local double bottom as well, a little bounce of a $2,000. You know, you need to be quick, you need to be active, you know, to get into these small little movements. But I'm looking for the high probability trade and go in big, right? I want to go in big. I want to make my money in a couple of weeks and then analyze what could happen next, right? In a few weeks. So let's get this off the chart and start off with the first scenario on Bitcoin, guys. And I need your full attention. This is probably going to take 20 minutes or 30 minutes. I don't know, but we're going to talk about how the price could develop and what we are looking for, right? What we are looking for on that development. There's only a few scenarios, guys. There's about four scenarios, and we can detect those 4 scenarios, okay? They can be detected. You just need to be watching the chart every day for a little bit and say, okay, now we're forming this, so I'm interested in this position, right? I don't know, not know what's going to happen next. I don't know, okay? Nobody knows. And for the moment, we have several scenarios. Those scenarios will start to get, invalidated as certain movements happen. So if I have 4 scenarios for you today, in the next couple of days, we might just have 2, right? And then from those 2, there'll only be 1. And that's where you go in heavy, right? You start eliminating the different, possibilities till you come up with only 1 or possibly 2, which one will have less probability. So you lean with the one that has higher probability, right? And that's how we trade. That's how we trade, right? We start getting away the different scenarios, okay? And I mean, you've seen it in the last few weeks, guys. All of this look extremely corrective. The probabilities of not finding a strong impulsive move down here, wave 2s to be 6-7 times longer than your wave 1 is like, yeah, let's just forget about this, because that's unlikely to happen, that we do successfully break down from this low. I mean, if you're calling a $2,000 dump a successful breakdown, well, I mean, we were talking about not moving down to much lower levels, was extremely unlikely. So this is when we know that we want to start going in heavy in this area, realizing that this is probably it, guys, which it was, right? Just less than 2 weeks ago. So let's go right away through. Let me know if the music's too loud, legends, because it's probably distracting. Or is it nice? It's Friday night, baby, and we're going out today. Only joking, guys. Not going out. 10 years ago, I probably would have done, but not now. RT analysts, millionaires. Well, no, I wouldn't say analysts. Traders. I mean, I made 100K in the last few weeks. So not everybody has to be a millionaire, has to be profitable, it's just a point of view. I'm just here to share it and where I want to get into my next big trade, and obviously share the trade later on. So yeah, Jerome, much love. Lotus, Pac-Man, he just pulled off a 100K trade. I'll let you decide. Epic trade. Yeah, it was very good. It was worth the wait. High probability to get that leg up. Please, the music is nice. Please leave the volume like that. Let's go. Okay. Crypto trust drops. Thank you very much for that. Buy crypto like billionaires. Are you Bitcoin maximalist? Let me know down below in the description. In the comment section. Let me know. Only Bitcoin or altcoins also. Press 1 if you are only a Bitcoin holder, or you just only believe in Bitcoin, number 1, or if you also think crypto in general, number 2, right? If you like to diversify Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, 1 for Bitcoin, 2 for crypto. Or, wow, we're already getting 3 here. That's only mainly Bitcoin, right? Altcoins, we never know, right? Ethereum, I am a fan of Ethereum. Ethereum is the pipeline for decentralization, right, on the blockchain network. So there has to be some kind of utility, regardless if it's real world assets or if it's metaverse or if it's NFTs or whatever, right? You can build on top of the Ethereum network, you know, all of these different decentralized projects. It has a use case, right? But for the moment, everything that's being built is highly speculative, right? AI, you know, whatever you want can be built on the Ethereum blockchain. But this is kind of that feeling of the .com bubble that we had in the year 2000, right? There was a .com this, .com that, pet.com, right? It was absolutely awful. It was actually a company that was losing money, but they had pet.com, and you know, the stocks went through the roof. And eventually there wasn't a proper product, right? There wasn't a proper successful product in the .com bubble. So this is kind of .com bubble 2.0, right? We have a network, which is Ethereum, Solana. What exactly is being built on it? Is it useful? Do we need it? I mean, it's decentralized on Ethereum, that is for sure. So without a doubt, we will figure out in the next decades that it's going to be very, very useful, and we will be using it eventually, just like the internet, right? And you know, .com. But right now it's still highly speculative, right? So Bitcoin is the digital gold. It's the one that we know that can be that, you know, safe haven. 222, lots of twos here. So yeah, lots of twos. BTC and Ethereum only. Lots of twos. General cryptocurrency. XRP will be the real thing. Yeah, XRP for the moment is really sticking out. Okay, it's doing a good job, that is for sure. BTC is the best performing asset, no doubt about it. This is why Bitcoin is number one always in a portfolio, crypto portfolio. Bitcoin needs to be the one that holds the bumps, right? Let's go right away and continue. Too loud. Is the music too loud? A little bit too funky. Okay, let's talk about BTC, guys. Much love to everybody. I'm also mining BTC. Volcan, absolutely epic. I own alts on spot and trade BTC. That's mainly what I do. Pac-Man. Much love to you. Lots of twos here. Lots of general, you know, lots of people loving crypto in general. There's no doubt going to be a use case for cryptocurrency. There's lots of, you know, real world asset, I think, is one of the hottest things. AI, I mean, do we need AI in crypto? You know, it's like metaverse, guys. Who was here in the metaverse bubble in 2021, part of 2022, right? Big fat bubble. Metaverse, why do you need crypto for the metaverse, right? To make it decentralized. Okay, cool. Well, you know, it was a massive bubble, guys. I was so against metaverse back in the previous cycle. I was like, guys, let's stay away from metaverse on the hype, because metaverse has been existing for many years and decades. And the whole hype was because of Facebook transitioning to Meta, and that was, you know, that created a bit of a hype, and yeah, it all went down the toilet. We know that story. So this is the thing, we need to be a little bit cautious, right, with the what's hot on the niches. AI right now is the thing, right? AI is, we're going to be replaced by AI, crypto AI projects, right? It's all the same story, guys. It happens on every single damn bubble, right? Do we need AI in crypto? Everything pops, guys. Everything pops. NFTs, metaverse, walk to earn, play to earn, you name it. Dance to earn. You just want to be cautious on these niches that come out. And yeah, anyway, let's chart. How low can we go? We're going to be analyzing Bitcoin legends, okay? Let's go right away. Smash up that like button. Let's see if we do get to at least 500 likes. And if we do get to 500 likes, we're doing a giveaway, guys. It needs to be done on the live, though. 500 likes. We got almost 500 people watching. 500 likes. We're going to give $500 live on stream as we do the Bitcoin analysis. This is why we're here, guys. We're mainly here for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is my main asset that I do trade, okay? My main asset that I do trade. Not a fan of trading much altcoins. I'm not the best altcoin analyst. I mainly do Bitcoin. Guys, if you are interested in trading, Phemex has got a great bonus. 20% cashback, and you can earn Solana, okay? You can earn Solana as you trade, and 20% cashback on your deposit. It is the 5th link down below in the description, guys. Anybody that is interested in trading, okay, Phemex is a very good platform. Let's go through the price of Bitcoin. What I am looking for my next big position, this is where we need to start bringing out all of the different scenarios, okay? One of them we're going to remain, which was the one from yesterday. Still with the general idea from the last few weeks, 3-wave move. End of the correction, we're looking for all-time high. Okay, that's happened. This movement up, how did we develop the movement up, from the beginning of August? There are several ways in counting this. It's a bit 7-wavy. You can fit in 5 waves here. There's another way of fitting 5 waves with this latest move to the upside, and all of this is your wave 3. I mean, there is a possibility this would be an extension wave 5 inside of your wave 3. Muy posible. Es posible. This would be the scenario. It is also possible. What you would have here is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish your 3rd wave. I mean, you can label this movement up, guys, as many ways. Many ways. You got this one. You got this one. You also have this one. Double zigzag. And it's like, you have absolutely no clue of what's going on, do you? You have so many scenarios on the chart that you don't know what's going to happen. And I'm going to say that is correct. That is true. I do not know how the price is going to make its next move. Yeah, we got support here at the point of control. Okay, wow. Yeah, let's go. I mean, is this the level that's going to V-shape? I don't think so. I need to see a little bit of proof of movement here, a little bit of bullish market structure. Then I'll be confident, right? That, yeah, this looks pretty good. This might be the low, right? So I need a bit of more information on how the price develops in the next coming days. And with the first scenario, which we're going to, remain with this first scenario on the explanation, an ABC flat here, absolutely. Everything's, this could be it. This could actually be the low. What we would want to see develop throughout the next coming days, looking at the 30-minute time frame, 15-minute time frame, is some kind of an impulsive move up. Sorry, I mean, this is what I need to see, because there's so many different scenarios on how the price could develop throughout the next coming days that, I cannot bet the farm here believing that this is the scenario, because we have so many different ones that are going to be explained throughout the stream, guys. So yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what the heck's going to happen. So we need a confirmation. We need something bullish to happen. And eventually something bullish to happen would be starting to get, some nice momentum throughout the next coming days in a bit of a 5-wavy structure, some kind of an impulsive move up. Okay. In 5 waves, high volume in the middle, in your 3rd wave, preferably, to really detect that this could definitely be the low. And you might think, bro, I missed the low. I missed longing the low, and the price is already trading at 121K. Usually, you will get some kind of a pullback, most commonly to the 50% and even 7-8 most aggressively after this leg to the upside. When we analyze the last move down on the higher time frame, your first wave, which is we're always labeling as your wave 1 or your wave A, your wave 1, where did it retrace to? I mean, it got to the aggressive target, which is the 7/8 Fibonacci. We were streaming while we were getting down there, and I'm like, oof, this this has to be the low if we're leaning on this scenario, guys. We were talking about this. Anybody that remembers, we were talking about this scenario. This could be it, guys. The 7-8 needs to hold as support if this is going to be your wave 2 or your wave B, right? Regardless, it doesn't matter. We're looking for a leg up. So 7-8 did hold. You are going to get some kind of a retracement after a significant bounce, after a significant leg up, where we can detect a possible 5 waiver. And we were discussing this movement up, right, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, no, it looks okay to be bullish. The moment was detecting this as a 3 waiver, which was very beautiful. It was a beautiful 3-wave structure. I was in the Legends Pro community talking about this likely being a 1-1-2, bang, 3, 4, 5, boom, we head up to higher levels. So I know lots of the Legends pros did, get bullish, did get into long positions in this zone where we were very, very confident based on the bullish market structure. The bounce was overlapping these pivot lows. This is like the bomb diggity area. This is like the level. This is the kind of price action that I want to see. Because if you have, okay, let's just do this for educational purposes here, guys, okay? Looking at the 30-minute or 15-minute time frame. We analyzed this. We had a little bit of a zigzag down, a little bit of a flat here situation. It doesn't really matter if this is your wave 1, 2, and if this is your 3rd wave. I mean, this did form a 3-wave structure very, very nicely. We were talking about this with this bounce. When this bounce starts overlapping these pivots, okay? I mean, worst case scenario would be a 1-1-2. But as we were detecting this latest move down that did not get continuation, it was a 3-wave movement. If you have a 3-wave move down on your latest move and you get this significant bounce overlapping those pivot lows, you start believing that this is the low. This is definitely going, well, definitely, this is high probability going to be the low. You can't say definitely when you're analyzing and trading. And this is why this was the golden ticket. Golden ticket was here, which we were very much vocal about it in the Legends Pro community. I actually have a video in the Legends Pro looking for that 1-1-2, 3, 4, 5, right? Looking for higher levels based on this price action and detecting that this was corrective. So going back with that theory, I need a bounce. If this is going to be the low, I'm not interested at the moment based on other scenarios that we need to talk about. There could be an interesting long for all of those falling knife catchers. We have a nice naked point of control at the value area low, guys. If you want a level that, you want to get into a dip, right? You want to get into the drop. There is a naked point of control exactly at the value area low. Well, not quite exactly, but very, very close to it. And when we get that naked point of control, that point of control is literally from this consolidation that we had on Thursday, getting away Elliott wave theory for a little bit. I know a lot of Elliott wave theory sometimes makes your brain explode sometimes, especially when there's so many scenarios. And people that like to just trade order blocks or VWAP and get, I mean, this would be a very, very interesting level for a bounce, without a doubt. Swing failure pattern of the lows, right? Value area low of this entire trading zone of the last few weeks. And the weekly naked point of control, right, from last week. It's basically this price action right over here, where you form that nice consolidation, leaving you that high volume node. This is also in confluence with the golden pocket from the pivot low of the range to the pivot high. So sometimes too much confluence is not too nice, I have to say. When there's too much confluence and levels, right, at a certain area, sometimes I've seen it slice like butter, guys, like a hot knife on butter, right? Just like it's nothing. The more confluence you add, supposedly, the better the level is, right? So you have the golden pocket from the pump. the weekly naked point of control, which is literally from this consolidation that we had last week, and the value area low. So you're like, yeah, this level needs to hold, right? It's a level that's going to get a bounce. So, I mean, for any aggressive trader that wants to jump at a good level, well, this is a good level to bounce, right? The question is, will this bounce be the one that gets a major rally, or will it just create a bounce of $1,000, $2,000 potentially, and then drop back down? That's the question. But it's a bouncing level. You need to take it accordingly, manage your risk. It is a good level to get into a trade, in my opinion, okay? I'm looking for the overall study of the range to really say, okay, it's time to move up. It's time to move up. So, I mean, out of speculation, if we were to form a triangle right now, because there is that WXY scenario where you form a triangle in the next coming days, give or take, right? You start forming a wedge. Oh, I'm going to be extremely bullish, and I will be looking for insane long positions. Your invalidation can be very, very tight, and it will be the moment to step in aggressively, because that would be the end literally here from this possible movement. Anyway, we'll get to those scenarios later on. Levels of interest for people that are wanting to aggressively scalp. There's a good level here at 116.5, 116.4K. Very strong level, which could bring an instant bounce, okay? Levels of resistance. Guess where we were hitting resistance, guys? We're just going to take a look at the levels and then the different scenarios on Elliot Wave. Most important levels that we have close to us. To the downside, 116.5, 116.4. Very, very good level after sweeping up the lows here potentially. This is a perfect zone to get a reaction. Okay, reaction bounce. And to the upside, where we have been finding resistance, guys, and this is, you know, extremely, extremely interesting how we just got resistance today. It's the weekly, previous week close and previous week high. When we get the previous week levels, we put them on the chart. We go to the weekly chart. After the drop that we had yesterday, it's where we are getting the resistance, guys. Look at previous week close and high. It's a pity that we did not finish engulfing. It was not engulfing. It would have been nice to close last week above the previous week. But this is where we closed, right? And we got the high as well, you know, very, very near to the close. When we go to the 1 hourly time frame here, look how today the previous week close and previous week high has been providing the resistance, and it's rolling down now about $1,000. Let's go to the 5-minute time frame and take a look at the previous week high and the previous week close. This is the level that is providing resistance today. You know, especially after the drop. Resistance, resistance, today, resistance. We're not managing to, you know, break above the previous week close and the previous week high. That's what's acting as resistance today, right? It's like the only level that you understand that it's what's providing the resistance. So if the price were to get a rally, I mean, without a doubt, we do have, you know, this is a big resistance area. We have the anchored VWAP from the all-time high that was made on Thursday or early Thursday, 2 a.m. or depending on where you are. Anchored VWAP, and a major level that usually gets swing failure patterns is when you get a major drop to the downside, guys. We do speak about this a lot on the channel, at least previously. When you get a major drop, the lower highs after the drop, a big drop with high volume, the first lower highs do usually have a swing failure pattern effect, okay? At least for a quick rejection. Anybody that wants to sniper a short trade Okay, I can tell you already, anybody that wants that info for a quick scalp, all of those scalpers out there, 119.8k, the first lower high after the drop, looking at the 5 minute, 90% of the times it creates a rejection. But seriously, I've been back testing these lower highs and higher lows for many years. When you get a big move and you have formed the first higher low, for example, and you just continue grinding, that level becomes an insane swing failure pattern level. Insane though. I mean, the probabilities of getting a rejection, even though if it's a few $100s, that is the question. You know, will it be $400 or will it be $3,000? That's the main question, because eventually what you do have here is the previous week close and previous week high, which has provided resistance today, right? We could not make this up, guys. It's on the chart, right? The previous week close and previous week high provided resistance. Now, this is what is disturbing about this zone. We are forming bullish CVDs here throughout exchanges, but I just, yeah, I mean, there's nothing, I can't find a nice impulsive move here, right? Because if this would have been a clear impulse, I would have said, yeah, it's nice to look for a higher low here, especially when you got bullish CVDs. You got higher lows on price action, lower lows on CVD. You know, it's an interesting long to speculate on a higher low. The problem is, I don't see a very nice impulsive move in this range. Because if this would have formed something like this, and now we're getting this, I would be like, oh yeah, guys, you know, this is looking interesting for a long at the 50% 7/8 Fibonacci zone. I would be the first one to say, guys, I'm gonna, you know, it's looking good for this area to hold. But I have a problem. The problem is the movement up, guys. You know, it does look a bit three wavy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right over here. You got your A, B, C. You know, it doesn't look too convincing for this to be an impulse and do this. At least for me, because, you know, this doesn't look great. I don't like this movement up. Yeah, it's not looking too great. So I would not speculate myself on a higher low here. Why? Because I don't like this move. It doesn't look a strong impulse. You know, I don't like it. So I'm not speculating on a higher low here. And eventually we don't have, yeah, the best lower highs trend breakout here. Yeah, it's just not worth it. So we are dumping here. What's the Bitcoin dominance doing? I'm going to say, just be prepared for a possible larger pullback on altcoins, guys. We've had the hype. We've had the hype of last week. You know, some coins did rally. I think there is a high chance that we do get a relief rally here on the Bitcoin dominance. Just looking at this, when you break down from, you know, you got a big wave, 3-wave structure, perfect, most commonly the 4th wave. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're breaking down with less power from the previous lows. And you're wedging out, right? It's a kind of a wedgie situation. It's a full recipe to get a major bounce. Okay, so eventually you're going to see some altcoins getting a bit of shaky out momentum. And this is short term, guys. I am bullish in a massive bull market for crypto. But end of August, you know, to September, I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Which, I mean, Ethereum has rallied obviously as well too much. We need to analyze Ethereum, because Ethereum has got such a big exponential rally with no pullback. The pullbacks will come very aggressively, and that's the moment where a lot of people are going to be like, you know, this bull market sucks. And, you know, hey, come on, Ethereum needs a pullback at some stage. Come on, you know, this is also a general idea that we're looking at for Ethereum. We've had an exponential rally for the last few weeks with no proper corrective move. The biggest correction that we had here was back in June, May, June, that we need to label the wave 2. And this has been exponential for the last few weeks with no major large pullback, which are, you know, your wave 4s are usually very long, very rangy. I have my doubts. You might just miss out all-time high, which we did, and continue a range, guys. It would be natural. It would be good. The moment that Ethereum, you know, just ignore the noise, we're very likely going to form, you know, some kind of a range. And I would label this as a wave 4. You know, not having such a big, we haven't had a major pullback on Ethereum. You know, it's just build up the hype to all-time high. And, you know, this is a classic zone because so many people want to take profit at all-time high that you might just as well get the pullback before hitting all-time high, right? I mean, it's only a little theory here looking at the price action. Worst case scenario is that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because you would get a larger pullback. And the best case scenario is that your wave 3 is still literally on the formation, right? Where you have your small little 1, 2s, third wave, your 4th, and then your 5th wave here. And then obviously you're looking for that 4th wave to get developed, right? It would be the perfect timing, to be honest, when we take a look at the Bitcoin dominance. When you take a look at the Bitcoin dominance, it's like the perfect timing to get that pullback. Because Bitcoin dominance has been moving down pretty aggressively throughout the last few weeks. And it's losing the momentum to the downside. It's just, for me, it's quite clear. I'm not sure if it is for you guys. Don't be disappointed if we do get some pullbacks. It's just going to be a pullback. People were already freaking out with this pullback on Ethereum, which has just been a few $100s, and we've moved up a few $1,000s in the last few weeks. I think, you know, a little bit of more pullback could happen eventually. Anyway, Bitcoin, most importantly, going through the rest of scenarios, just a little bit of a general opinion, guys, on the market based on the charts. Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum rallying with no major pullback yet. You know, just trying to connect the dots and realize we might get that pullback into the end of August, right? And possibly September, very rangy. And just my opinion, guys. There's no reason for me to sell my altcoins. I will ride the pullback down. It's no issue for me. I just want to make you aware that it is a possibility, right? It is without a doubt possible. Anyway, let's go right away through the other scenarios on Bitcoin. So previous week close. This is a short scalp area, guys. Okay. As mentioned on Bitcoin, some people want levels on where to place a trade. Somebody asked me in the comment section a few days ago, where would I long Bitcoin if I'm going to get into a scalp? And it was literally at the VWAP to get a bounce of, you know, maybe $1,000 or so. And, you know, this was basically it. Higher low to maintain. There's resistance high that we also had from here to maintain as support with the VWAP without taking out this low and get a bounce. And oh my, you know, this bounce went to all-time high. So they're only levels to take into consideration as a, you know, rejection or bouncing zone. And who's in a long position right now? Will Bitcoin bounce from this zone? We're probably hitting the daily open. Let me just double check here. Oh, we lost daily open. Daily open, previous day value area low. Previous day point of control, sorry. Got that high volume node right there that wants to provide the support. Probably with the golden pocket, 7/8 Fibonacci from the pivot low to the pivot high. I mean, this is the ultimate zone if the price wants to bounce. I'm not betting on it, guys. I'm not betting on it. If we were to reclaim on the 5-minute, 15-minute time frame, if we were to get that bounce, okay, from here, then I would label all of this as a corrective structure. If we get a bounce and we overlap these pivots, okay, in a bit of a V-shaped recovery, of course, if we do consolidate and we take out the low again, I would consider this a 5-wave move, bounce maybe lower. But if from this movement down, if we consolidate, grinding to the upside, and we reclaim the daily open and the previous day point of control, which is, it is lost, guys. So, I mean, I'm not betting that this is going to happen. But if it does happen and we overlap these pivots, reclaiming previous day point of control and daily open, it could be a good sign that we are likely going to take out these highs right over here. And we want to kind of jump into a trade somewhere on the recovery, on the rejection if it does happen, on the back test of the daily open, previous day point of control. Because what we would be looking for is that larger 3-wave move up. So reclaim, guys, like a reclaim. We need a reclaim here. And, you know, preferably we do overlap these pivot lows from today. If that does happen here with a little bit of a V shape, it's game on to take out these highs. Game on. 3-wave structure, overlapping the pivot low. Game on, guys. We're looking for a 5-wave move here, very, very likely, to develop that overall larger 3-wave structure. And reclaiming these levels is going to be the decision moment for the bulls right now. We are currently lost the daily open. We currently lost the point of control. Longing right now the golden pocket is on you, right? It's like, do I want to catch the falling knife? Or with the analysis, with my knowledge, understand that from the highs of today here, getting the rejection at the previous week close, the first movement down, first lows, bounce. I'm not going to count this, guys. It's just the lower highs. And then the big move down. If we bounce and overlap this pivot, this structure automatically becomes corrective. It becomes corrective if it does get this movement down. So there would be a high chance to claim the highs of today. If we reclaim, okay, the point of control, get above the daily open, and especially hit today's lows from this range at 118.7. You can, you know, this could V-shape to the highs. It could get the pullback. Preferably we do get in a pullback, daily open, previous day point of control. Long in here. There are some risks attached eventually. Your invalidation is the low. If you are speculating that this is going to be a 3-wave move up to take out today's highs. I mean, you can take it as you wish. You know, you might, but your invalidation is the low. Entry zone in between 50% and golden pocket. It's an aggressive entry, guys. You know, eventually there is this movement up doesn't look too great as an impulse. So there is the aggressive option, which is trying to catch the low. And this was explained a few weeks ago when we were talking about the long trades here from this area. I mean, this is the exact same explanation that I'm giving you right now on this lower time frame drop, right? Where we were talking about, are we going to get the bounce at the 7/8 Fibonacci here? Okay. Are we going to get the bounce from this pivot low to the pivot high? Understanding that we have the possibility that this is the end of this three wave move to the downside. Hang on a minute, I'm making a mess here. Understanding that this three wave move could have finished with this bounce and the retracement. Are we going to form a higher low, right? And obviously the levels that we're looking at is the 7-8, 50% to the 7-8 Fibonacci, right? Literally this box between 50% and 7-8 from the movement up. And, you know, we were discussing on the live for all of those Degens that want to try and catch a higher low after this bit falling knife. This could have continued down, you know, nobody knows. Stop losses is the low, right? Just, you need to accept it. We don't know how aggressive the breakdown can be. So if you want to take the shot to try and catch the low of the recovery to head up to all-time high, then this is your zone. And then obviously the most conservative way is understanding the movement down, that if this three wave move to the downside, if the third wave move down does not continue and you get the bounce and you start overlapping the pivot lows, this no longer becomes an impulsive move, right? It does not become a leading move impulse to the downside, because your wave three has been cut off at the 7-8 Fibonacci, right? They've cut the selling pressure and you got a recovery here, overlapping the pivot lows and changing local bullish market structure. You know, this is this was the signal. This was the signal to get the movement up to take out these highs. And this becomes the same explanation, guys. Okay, bear with me, because what I'm trying to explain from this price action that we had a couple of weeks ago, which determined the swing long positions, right? That determined that the big positions to get into to head up to all-time high is this also, right? This range. So it becomes risky. It becomes risky to believe maybe we form a higher low here. There is a possibility. I mean, there's been a bit of chop here. So you do have a bit of a 5-wave move down in this movement that we had yesterday. Do I want to risk it for the biscuit to try and, you know, catch the low in between 50% and 7-8, 7-8 being your ultimate level for the bounce? Or do I want to wait for a reclaim, overlap the pivot lows, and then the correction, back testing the point of control and the daily open could be my better option to take out these highs, right? And you want to get into the bullish market structure and the retracement from that movement up, which is going to give you a higher probability trade, right? Instead of trying to catch the higher low, which might not be the higher low, and you might take out these lows, right? So, I mean, it all depends on the decision. Do you want to be a little bit aggressive and you know, have that a little bit of gamble mentality and say, yeah, you know, I'm just gonna get into a long here and catch the falling knife, right? Or do you want the flip here? Do you want the flip of the movement up to start hitting some pivot lows, the pivot lows right there, and eventually the 50% becomes your option. 50% to the 7-8 becomes your option from that last higher low, right? And in this case, I think 50% was the one that held. Yeah, 50% was the one that held from that first major bounce. You're getting a big move down, right? Everybody's scared and you know, peeing their pants because they think that this low is going to be claimed. It's bearish, dead cat bounce, and we're rolling lower, which could have been definitely the case. We had reasons, you know, to believe that, you know, we could have been bounced here back a few weeks ago. But the best option was, we talked about this on the stream, guys. We had a naked point of control somewhere here. Let's wait for a reclaim, right? Where was that naked point of control? Hang on a minute. I'm sure it was somewhere in this range, potentially the high volume node from this area. Wait for a reclaim of this zone. Wait to reclaim that point of control, naked point of control that we had, to then, you know, be a little bit more confident that we've reclaimed and this no longer becomes a leading impulsive move in a wave 3. So it's kind of better to wait for a reclaim, right? Why not? If it breaks down, then so be it. Yeah, at least didn't get into the long. If it is going to be bullish, we will see the signs, guys. If it is going to be bullish, you will see the initial signs. So I do get the point of people trying to catch the ultimate high or the ultimate low. I do get it, because it's kind of satisfying, right? It's like, yeah, look at me, I'm the best trader. I'll catch the low here, right? Or I'll catch the high. I do get that satisfaction, guys, but sometimes it doesn't play out as you wish, right? So I think the most sensible scenario, understanding this movement to the downside, I mean, and the movement up does not look good at all, guys. It wasn't the same as the other move. The other move did count better as an impulse. This movement up is not the greatest move up to count an impulse. I have to be honest. From the low, higher low, you know, you need to fit a third wave here, 4 and 5. It's not the best looking one. So it is moving down. You know, like I mentioned, you know, I wouldn't bet this. I wouldn't bet the farm here. If it were to hold as support in the end and get the rally, you know, 7-8 does hold out of the blue, and you get a massive V shape here, preferably overlapping these pivots. This is going to be your confirmation that you're likely going to take out these highs, and preferably you wait for the movement down, because most commonly you do hit 50% Fibonacci if this is going to be a correction. If this is going to be a 3-wave correction and you get that first bounce, you know, you are looking for a 5-wave move up here regardless. So you are going to, you have time to get into this correction. Most commonly you do hit at least 50%. So it just becomes a safer way of trading, guys. Right? I'm just talking about a safe way in getting into a high probability trade. And 50% would be your ticket, right? Between 50% and 7-8. And this is literally the same explanation from this price action, right, that we had a couple of weeks ago. Your big move down stopped at the 7-8, and then you got overlap of these pivot lows, and then the retracement at the 50%, you know, was the moment for you to say, okay, I want to get into long, stop loss at the low, continue the bullish momentum to at least take out this high, right? So anyway, just we left a bit of Elliott wave theory on the side here. Will the 7-8 bounce, guys? Let me know. I mean, it is very much a little bit of a hard speculation. 7-8 touched. 7-8 touched. Will the 7-8 bounce in this scenario? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Or are we taking out the lows from yesterday, guys? Let me know. What do you think? And there's not to worry, guys. I mean, if it were to bounce from here, then, you know, okay, that's good for the people that catch the low, but it becomes dangerous eventually. Or you wait for the reclaim and you long the higher low, right? It's just not. It would give you a highest probability trade setup, right? And if you get stopped out, then you deserve it, right? If you get stopped out, you deserved it because you wanted to catch the low. Will the 7-8 bounce, guys? Let me know in the comment section. If we lose this level, yeah, the levels that I like, as mentioned, value area low, naked point of control. It's a weekly naked point of control. It's a very interesting level. This becomes a good SFP level. Quick reaction bounce. If you lose the lows, this is the quick reaction bounce, guys. 116,500 to 116,400 is the bouncing level. Okay, it is in confluence with the golden pocket from the pivot low of the range to all-time high. We have the exact golden pocket where we have a weekly naked point of control, which is sweeping up these higher lows just for aggressive long SFP bounce. Oh, 7-8 is holding here. The 7-8 fib wants to do the job. Oi, oi, oi. Let me know, guys. Some people might be saying that, yes. 40-second trade profit. Bounce for sure. Andy says, Staffa 1. Take the lows, please, says Faz. No, it will fail, says Jerome. Taking out the lows, says 𝗖𝗍𝗍. Bounce and move up. Bounce, bounce. We got people saying bounce here. Andy, don't you think this correction on bigger wave 3? Andy, don't you think the correction of a bigger wave C? A bigger wave C? What do you mean of a bigger wave C? Well, on the other scenarios, let me just get this. Let me just clean the chart a little bit here. On the other scenarios that we talked about, I mean, we haven't gone through all of the scenarios on Elliot wave. Somebody's saying about a wave C here. There are a few scenarios. We were just looking at aggressively on how we would want to enter an internal scalp based on levels, right? You got an SFP lower high. I don't like this one too much. I'm going to get it off the chart. Little SFP here. You got the anchored VWAP, right? Just giving a few levels for all of the scalpers. Anchored VWAP from all-time high, a lower high after the drop of the bounce of the drop from yesterday, and it's actually with a 382 Fibonacci, if I'm not mistaken, from all-time high to the low. Yeah, there we go. We've got 382 Fib, anchored VWAP. The lower high is a beautiful zone for an SFP. I mean, like I mentioned, 90% of the times it does happen. The other 10%, well, it just breaks out and goes to higher levels, right? It doesn't get any reaction and it just breaks. But if you SFP here, you could get a nice correction of, you know, $500, maybe $1,000 at least from that SFP lower high. It's just a confluence level. I think what you are referring to about the C wave is the other possible scenario that could happen, which is the main discussion right now is this an ABC flat? Right? And maybe the low is in. And right now, as mentioned, you know, there is a possibility of the low being in. We just need to give the chance of a possibility. Just like this low was in here, we got the bounce and we got the first reclaim. You know, could this be the first major bounce in a smaller time frame eventually? That's why we were explaining on the lower time frame what you want to see here locally, right? That small little wave reclaim of the point of control from yesterday, right? And try and jump into the sign of strength before you take out the highs, right? For a scalp. But yeah, anyway, let's I think another scenario that you were talking about is this scenario, right? Couldn't this be a wave here that's probably finished and you are going to be forming a B wave and then the C wave, right? Somebody asked about a larger C wave. There is a way of counting this as an impulsive move like this, and we got a first major aggressive move down, which would be obviously too quick to form a V shape. I mean, a V shape is possible just because we have this bullish count as well. This could form this is maybe the end of the flat and you V shape. I mean, but we have this other scenario as well where, yes, you can form, you know, you can count this as an impulse. All of this is just, all of these waves is part of the third wave, and then 4-5. And what you're looking for is a larger ABC kind of formation for the next coming days, right? Into next week. If that is the case, eventually, what we need to detect is a corrective structure in the next few days. Weekend is coming, which is usually very rangy. So it might take a few days. And if it's very corrective and throughout, Sunday night, Monday, you get the dip down, we are going to be paying attention very carefully to this 3-wave move down. Yes, we have a lot of support. We've got value area low of the range. We do have naked point of control. You could hit the golden pocket. Maybe it might sweep up the golden pocket and attempt to go to the value to the 7-8. But by no means, I'm saying that this is going to hold for sure. Let's all long very aggressively here. I mean, you can, if you're happy, depending on your risk management, you can, depends on how much you risk, guys. If you're going big, I don't want to go big here. I would go in with 0.5% and say, you know what, I'm going to take the shots. We do have reasons to believe that it could be a 3-wave structure. We got value area low, golden pocket to 7-8 to speculate on a B wave or a wave 2, right? You got your 3-wave move down, pump, retracement. We're looking for another 3-wave move, right? 3-wave down, 3-wave up. So if you wanted to, if this were to be the case in the next coming days, the golden pocket to the 7-8, value area low, it is a zone to speculate that it could finish. However, as explained on the lower time frame, on the, looking at the 15-minute time frame, that you are going to get some kind of a big bounce at some point if it is going to be bullish. If it is going to end as a 3-wave structure, you are going to get some kind of a bounce, preferably detecting it as a 5-wave move. The bounce, if it is going to be bullish, it's going to bounce, right? So why not wait for the bounce and analyze that bounce, just like this one, analyze the bounce and analyze the correction. And as the correction happens, you have a few options. Claim the last low, break of trend. There's several ways in trading this, right? It's a bull flag and I'm just going to enter along on the breakout, right? But eventually, if this is going to be bullish, what we're looking at here is a 3rd wave, right? 4 and 5, right? What we're looking at is this. So yes, this could develop in the next coming days. We probably finished a 5-wave move up. Now it's time for sideways momentum, a little bit more downside in the range. We're back inside of the range. We're just bouncing at the point of control. So value area high could provide resistance. Value area low could provide support and the fake out. Weekend is coming, rangy. Now, I'm not expecting all-time high or a breakdown, guys, in the next coming days. It's going to be a rangy few days. Pump of $1,000-$2,000, maybe a dump of $1,000-$2,000 as well, right? I don't expect major volatility. Maybe claim the lows, form a little swing failure pattern. I mean, the good thing about the weekends, guys, is that there is low probability in big swings. There's low probability to create big moves. This is why that if in between today and the next coming days, you do get a drop down to the value area low, right, throughout today. What am I doing here? You understand, just with the weekend theory of that there's low probability in getting big moves. Sometimes they happen, guys. It's not always. It's just looking at the percentage time of high volatility throughout weekend. When you take a look at the last 10 weekends, there might have been 2 with high volatility, right? The other 8 were low. They were very rangy, just movements of $1,000 to $2,000, right? So, I mean, with that theory on probability, if you do get a big move throughout today and tomorrow of $1,000 or $2,000, you need to understand that your confluence levels will probably get a reaction and a nice little scalp opportunity, right? Because of the theory of low volatility in the weekend. So you're like, if there's a big move happening in between today and tomorrow, I understand that a larger move breakout is unlikely. So the confluence levels could definitely hold nicely to get a reaction, bounce, or rejection, right? And this is why we talk about the weekly naked point of control. And it's just as easy as getting the fixed volume profile from last week's price action momentum, high volume node, where we have the value area low with a golden pocket. This zone, if claimed in the next coming hours, is very likely to hold and potentially form an SFP. Very, very likely entering into the weekend. Because, you know, throughout the weekend, you would not expect a major move down of, you know, $10,000 or 5 or 6, right? So, you know, just some little tips, right? When weekends are very, very good to trade ranges and trade big confluence levels, right? So, yeah. This is why if we do get the pump to 120k plus, you know, with the anchored VWAP, and you know, it could, well, anchored VWAP is very low, to be honest here. I would prefer at least a movement up to the 382, 50%, trying to attempt to break above again the value area high. In between 120k and 121k is where, you know, kind of the resistant rejection point would be. That's if it's not bullish eventually, if it doesn't break out aggressively. But anyway, this is one scenario, right? One scenario that we mentioned at the beginning, which was also from yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC flat. Locally, we could take an opportunity, as mentioned, to take out the highs. If you enter the long on the reclaim and, you know, you're in the long, and if you break out here, and there's no reaction at the anchored VWAP or the lower high, then happy days, right? Let's go. You're in the long. You want to take some profits eventually and put stop to break even. Yeah. I mean, this could definitely happen, right? ABC flat. And now we suddenly start getting some punchy momentum to the upside out of nowhere, right? Entering into the end of Friday. And then, you know, this could also happen, right? Today, Friday, it pops out. Your range throughout the weekend. Right? Your range throughout the weekend as a wave 4 and then wave 5 correction. That you just continue up. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you got a 1, 2, 3 ABC 3. It is definitely possible. We have a valid count. The more rangy count scenario would be this one. So you rally, you form a lower high, you come down. We are interested in seeing proof of support after a larger ABC. We want the reclaim of value area low. We want a bullish sign in a 5-wave structure, reclaiming value area low. And the weekly naked point of control. That's it. Game on, guys. This is our golden ticket. Just like this one right over here. 3-wave move down. Movement up that we can detect as a bullish 5-wave structure. Understanding that this movement down is corrective, especially after the local reclaims. There is our golden ticket. That's the golden ticket here, guys. We were very much vocal about this a couple of weeks ago. That was mainly my swing long positions, right? Mainly the swing long positions was, you know, looking for that zone. I was already in swing longs, even this one right over here from 115k. So if you are interested in trading, guys, bluffing right now for the whales out there, you get VIP 1 and VIP 2 if you deposit more than 50k. VIP 2, your fees are going to be extremely low, guys, okay? For all of the whales, you do get 10% cash back on your deposit up to $3,000. If you deposit 30k, you're getting $3,000 on top of that to have more capital on your trading, guys. Take advantage on bluffing. Wix is also a great exchange, okay? You do get all of those perks. That is the second link in the description, guys. VIP 1 or 2, right? Depending on what you deposit, or 10% cash back. Regardless of what you deposit, you're getting 10% cash back, okay? It's the second link down below, guys. Take advantage. Bluffing is one of my favorite exchanges that only requires an email and a password, right? A lot of people don't want to give too much personal information. Bluffin is a great option, guys. The same as Weeks. Okay, you only need an email and a password to sign up. Not much here that we can discuss about Bitcoin locally. I've explained a little bit of the gaming plan. Anybody that has just joined right now, smash up the like button, subscribe to the channel, guys. We try and look for the highest probability movements, how we can position ourselves for bigger swings and more focused on bigger swing trades, right? Looking for the high swing movements of bigger projections. Locally, I mean, you do have some, you know, a little bit of aggressive levels to long and short, right? Like the lower high after the drop, okay, with the value area high. You got these higher lows with the naked point of control for a little, you know, quick little scalp, right? For all of those that want to get into some positions. And more locally, I've explained what we need to see, guys. So far, so good. We are bouncing from the 7-8. Let's see if you do get that bounce. The moment you overlap with these pivot lows after the big drop, it is game on to take out these highs. You know, it's just cannot be any more simple than that. Other scenarios that could happen for Bitcoin. Okay, other scenarios that could happen for Bitcoin. We do have a lot of them, guys. I mean, there is many scenarios, and I'll go through the comment section right away. How's the bounce looking, Andy? It's looking pretty good. We need to reclaim the previous day point of control and the daily open, preferably. And, you know, the best confirmation would be sweeping up the lows. Okay, I mean, touching the lows of today, of this little range that we formed at about 118.6k, right? That would be like the confirmation that the local highs are likely going to be taken. Okay, so you position yourself accordingly. Wait for a pullback, preferably from the rally to the 50% golden pocket potentially. And that's to take out the local highs anyway. Kamari, how are you doing, my man? Genius, thank you. It's closing the gap. It's closing the gap. Yeah, the gap hasn't quite been filled yet. 117k gap is about to be filled. Yeah, we do have the gap that is very disturbing eventually. As it has not technically been filled, right? It kind of looked like it was filled, but it was not. We still have a little bit of a movement down here. The CME gap has not been filled. So, I mean, this is why it becomes interesting. Anybody that wants to long the CME gap fill, I have it here, actually. There it is. I didn't have to go on the CME gap, CME futures. We know after filling a gap, gaps are support. I don't care if it fills today or tomorrow. I got a few gaps to fill today, tonight. Not CME ones. And we do know that it is support. So if you fill the gap, it is support. And we've got value area low, and you got the golden pocket, right? And you got a weekly naked point of control. So there's just a lot going on here after filling that gap. CME one, guys. Let's not get confused here. It is Friday night. Stay calm. We're talking CME ones, okay? Right. Bluffin has surpassed my expectation. I'm transitioning from Bitcoinsensus for these swing trades, but this has been fantastic, gentlemen. Andy 𝗬𝗆𝗍𝗇, I caught your stream as well. Much appreciated. Baby Genius, you're very welcome. Yeah, I mean, Bluffin right now, it has to be definitely one of the leading platforms out there that just require an email and a password. The interface works absolutely phenomenal. It is highly liquid, guys. Highly liquid. You ain't going to get any spreads or anything, even though if you're trading with millions of dollars, okay? This was this position was almost $1 million worth of volume, okay, to make this 100k of this movement of, $9,000-$10,000. There's lots of volume, okay? It's a big exchange. It's leading the way. You only require an email and a password, and you got the best perks possible, guys, which is VIP 1 and VIP 2, right? If you are a whale, right, you're going to deposit over 25K, your fees are going to go very, very low. And the interface works phenomenal. It's one of my favorites that only requires an email and a password. Obviously, there's a lot of the different ones that I use. I do use Weeks as well, BTCC. I've been using Bybit for years as well. I mean, I diversify, one for more day trading, scalping, one for maybe some altcoins. I got stopped out of altcoin trade yesterday, guys. So XRP. And this is all, you always need to be aware. It was irresponsible from my side that we had news coming out and I entered an XRP trade when there was news like in an hour. You know, it is what it is. This is why if you enter a trade and we have news in half an hour and the price is literally at your entry, you know, you just got, it's better not to trade when there's news. Trade after the news, after a few hours, right? Or after an hour even, right? Just trade after the news when that volatility is over, because it's not going to respect the levels. It will just go through the levels or the structure or whatever, right? That little part of the news event is kind of not worth it. So other scenarios that could happen on Bitcoin, guys. Thank you very much for joining the stream and smashing up that like button. Much love to everybody. Okay, I'll be going through comment section later on. I still have a few scenarios on Bitcoin. Let's subscribe to the channel all together because I am almost at 100K subs, guys. If you do enjoy the education, the possible projections, I do believe that new all-time highs, regardless of whatever happens, most of the scenarios are looking for a correction or a recovery, a larger correction or start recovering. Okay, there will be moments that we can detect where the potential trade, good trade is, guys. You're looking for the high probability trade always, right? I'm always looking for the highest probability trade on Bitcoin, and I will go in heavy if I do have good projections, you know, to hit all-time high. We are still bullish, guys. We are still in a bullish market, so these retracements need to be studied, right? They need to be studied. And what we got with the studies right now is scenario number one, this one. Maybe we know this could be an ABC flat. Scenario number two, with the same corrective idea, is that this is a 5-wave move up. We're going to form a larger ABC. There's another scenario that's this one, a very large WXY for the next week or so. We could be forming a very big fat range, which can form a triangle. We are going to do many live streams. If we start ranging from here, we will detect this scenario, not to worry. Or a flat. A flat is an option here as well, which can be a little bit confusing for the people, right? Here we go, all-time high, bang, back down to the lows, right? And it's could be a little bit shaky. It is a possibility based on a 3-wave move down, double zigzag up. And then, you know, you still have one more wave in the range potentially to form, and we don't know which one is going to happen, right? So as we don't know which one's going to happen, it's preferred to wait to see the movements. And then once you have the waves finished, if you form a flat here, then game on. And if you form a triangle, then game on as well to the upside. We got into an epic long position. If you are a legit follower, guys, from the last few months, you know that we were detecting this zone as bullish. There were 2 scenarios in this zone. 2 scenarios. You can check out the live stream. And they were bullish, and I did also get into a long position in this area. Why? There was only 2 main bullish case scenarios because all of the bearish ones were getting invalidated. And the WXY theory, hear me out here, guys, because it's on the chart, is big rally to the upside from this low. Okay, all good. You form a flat movement, a little zigzag here, which is a little bit cheeky because the 3rd wave was very small. You can see it right there on the lower time frame. And guess what happened here after forming this move, which was a general idea as well when we were analyzing this back in, you know, late June, early July this was. for an A, B, C, D, E to form your wave W, wave X, and wave Y in a triangle. Nice triangle. 2 higher lows, 2 lower highs. We could be getting the breakout here. Bang. Long entry, invalidation at the lows. And I mean, this is the same explanation, but at a larger scale. I mean, this is just 1 or 2 weeks of price action. And this is 4 or 5 weeks of price action where you have a zigzag down, a double zigzag up, taking the highs. You took the highs here as well. And then if you form a range triangle structure for the next coming weeks, you're literally, right, putting this in, I tell you what, let's put the bars pattern, even though we did form a flat as your wave W here. Okay. We formed a flat here. And here we formed a zigzag. It doesn't matter, wave Y, sorry, can be a flat or zigzag. It doesn't matter. But just so you can get it into scale here with the bars pattern on how the price could develop in the next coming days. Yeah, let's just get this. It's not going to be the same because we had a flat in your wave. In your wave W. I'm trying to fit this wave. Let's see if we can. Oh man, I'm so bad at doing this. Will it kind of fit? I mean, this was a flat, it has to be said. We formed a flat right over here. And the movement that we had in July was a zigzag down. So, eventually it's not going to fit in because in the blue, it's a flat. But you get the rally here to take out the highs with some kind of a zigzag, double zigzag, which is the one that we're talking about. And then in this area, you possibly form a triangle or a flat. It might sound a little bit too speculative at the moment, but I mean, it's possible. Where you just range throughout the next coming days, and then, we get the breakout later on, right? It's just, it was just an idea, guys, to get this out. Eventually, it's not the same, but just to explain the complex sideways correction where we had one here at the end of June and part of July, right? This one right over here. And there was only 2 options that we were looking at here because this movement up did fit very nicely as an impulse. Right, this movement up here did fit very nicely as an impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat. And there's only 2 options here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, or wave 1, WXY, okay, on your wave 2 or your wave B. It doesn't matter. Anyway, just wanted to speculate on that. So this is one scenario that could happen. This might take a few days to develop. Wow, people did not like that scenario at all. We got people leaving the stream. Oh, now they're coming back. Now people are coming back. Yeah, this could bring a headache, guys. But there will be that sweet spot of confidence on what, to catch the big move, guys. Because if you have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and a 1, 2 here, you're looking for a big wave move up. And this is why, we were very much speculating on that movement to happen. And regardless if it's a wave 1 and a WXY or a wave A and a wave B, and you're looking for your C wave, it doesn't really matter. You're looking for a big wave up. This area becomes very exciting. Very, very exciting. Very, very exciting when you have this complex sideways momentum. And there are ways in detecting that. However, we want a bit of more information. And that's where you want to go big, right? That's where I went big on my longs. I was already big long throughout this area at the lows. Because I realized that this could have been the end of the 3 wave. I was interested in the swing failure pattern here. Anyway, so all of the scenarios that I have for you, this is also one that is possible, but that's getting a little bit more complex, where you do have a W zigzag here. You got a 3-wave move up. You have an A, to form your wave X, just a zigzag. And now you have a flat, which is your first leg of your Y wave, right? It's a flat right now, and we could, continue the range. It would be your first wave. Okay, so you could have another 2 waves here in this zone, regardless if it's going to be a zigzag. Well, it should be really a flat, right? Where you have ABC move down for your A wave, a movement up to take out almost the highs here, or take out the highs, and then get the 5-wave down. It would be a bit complex, but without a doubt possible, okay? Something that I needed to add here on the different scenarios. Regardless, what we're looking at is the range to continue, and there will be a moment to detect that, guys. There will be a moment to know exactly which one it is, right? Now we need more information. We need more patience. There will be that moment where it will be going full on long, guys, right? Because all of the scenarios point out that we should be heading up to all-time high again, okay? And obviously we got a good detection right over here, detecting this pivot, and also being confident in this zone that we remain bullish. And in swing longs, I'm looking for a recovery from this area. We're looking to take out all-time high. There are moments, and this has been in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and there's been a couple of good long positions on Bitcoin. For the moment, we need more information. Low probability for the moment that we have finished the 5-wave structure to the upside in this contracting diagonal. I would believe, technically it is possible that you could have finished with this higher 5-wave move here. Technically it is possible, but based on the timing, it is low probability, because this happened too fast. Okay, and common targets here. You could not have your 5th wave being longer than your wave 3, which is very far away. It's about 136k. But yeah, 𝗖𝗿𝘆𝗽𝗁𝗍 to the 𝗖𝗍78 common area, okay, between 127, 132, preferably from your wave 3. So, and this has been too fast in timing. It would be better to see something more symmetrical. You got this does count better as a 1-wave move up. You got your correction in the formation, and then another leg up, right? You want to see some kind of a 3-wave move to the upside. So yeah, probabilities based on timing that this was not the high for a larger pullback, and what we're looking at is some kind of a consolidation, maintaining above 112k, to then look for all-time high again in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So yeah, and that's basically it on the higher projection. And I am interested in either adding to the long position or getting into, I want to get into new positions as well, that is for sure. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for in the next coming days, guys. Okay, so it's just about being patient. Dude never says anything reliable, actually. Thanks, Andy, for the analysis. Fam, hit the like button, Cloudians. You want something? High probability that we hit all-time high in the next coming weeks, and potentially this low is going to very likely maintain. So you take that with a grain of salt. If you want to scale into long positions here, well, be my guest. I'm a little bit more conservative. I want to see a little bit more perfect confirmations. As explained, when we did talk about the analysis in this range, we were very bullish here, guys. Very, very bullish. People were speculating on a Bart Simpson pattern. But based on the structure here, we were very, very bullish at the end, realizing, you know, what kind of structure we formed considering Elliott wave theory. Same scenario in this correction. I'm looking for all-time high. This has been talked about for the last few weeks, guys. Okay, so I'm not sure if you're talking about me. Anyway, 𝗬𝗫𝘂𝗿𝗫, much love to you, brother. We got Pac-Man, much love to you as well. Thanks very much, Andy Legends. Wes, you're very welcome. Jerome, Harry, don't be mean. Where's Harry? Shall we kick out Harry? Is he being rude? Saying that I don't say anything reliable. I'm just giving you the probabilities and the, you know, local levels for all of those scalpers, guys. I've talked about the levels that we're likely going to get a reaction, but take them as a scalp. We don't know if they're going to reject or bounce $500 or $2,000. I've explained those levels at the beginning of the stream, right? Naked point of control at 116.5 with the value area low of this entire range, which is sitting with the golden pocket from the pivot low of the range to the pivot high. So, you know, it's a level that's very likely going to bounce. 116.5k zone, give or take, 100 down, 100 up. It's a very, very likely zone. You got that order block, if you wish, on the higher time frame. It's just a zone to get a reaction bounce. Okay, just very, very likely going to bounce. But take it as a scalp, I would say. We need more information to be confident in the swing longs to take all-time high. You know, the range could continue. But it's a good level to bounce. That's without a doubt. How we need to, you know, be bullish on the lower time frame. I've explained this on, you know, just about 30 minutes ago. We need to reclaim the previous day point of control, overlap the pivot lows of this range. I hope that those explanations, guys, from a few hours ago have been really relevant to you. Okay, if you bounce from here and you overlap these pivots and you reclaim the previous day point of control, then it's game on, you know, to take out these highs only for a local scalp. Yes, legends. Harry C just needed to express his anger because his 𝗬𝗍𝗍 and fart coins are in the red. He'll be fine. Yeah, he'll be okay. Where is he? Where is that guy? Devil, my man, much love. Yes, bluffing is amazing exchange. Just love it. So stable, so much liquidity, no slippage. There we go. We got the confirmation from Devil, the man himself. Absolute legend. Thank you, Andy. Josh Rule, you're very welcome. There's not much to discuss, guys. I wanted to talk about the total 3 and the total crypto market cap. Stay cautious here with the Bitcoin dominance. We could be a little bit shaky for the next few days, even 1 to 2 weeks. I am looking at the Bitcoin dominance, and it seems like that a relief rally could be bubbling, guys. But you know what? This relief rally, I am counting for it to be corrective, because yeah, this has moved down pretty impulsively throughout the last few weeks. So if the relief rally does happen, yes, you're going to see your favorite, you know, 𝗖𝗍𝗿𝗍 coin, you know, going down, but it will just only be a corrective structure, in my opinion, for the next coming weeks, to then ultimately look for the leg down, and hopefully it's not going to be a wave C, and it will be a wave 3, and it will go to much lower levels, guys. So buckle up, because it's looking good. Buckle up, because it's looking good, but we need a shakeout, guys. I think people got overexcited in the last few days, right? Even myself, I was like, holy moly, you know, it's happening, right? Yeah, euphoria kicks in regardless of how much experience you do have. Sometimes you need to stay a little bit grounded. But the first wave down on the Bitcoin dominance from the last few weeks looks a-okay for continuation down. However, a relief rally looks very, very possible, guys. Very, very possible. Which is going to make, you know, Harry C, you know, cry about his altcoins. which is, it's okay. Don't worry, man. Things look good. Hold strong. Winners only. Baby genius, much love to you. 𝗞𝗚𝗍𝗍, always giving the love and support here on the stream. Let's go. Absolutely awesome. Has anyone been using Bluffins Futures grid bots? All the volatility has been amazing for my portfolio. Grid bots do work great in a range. I tested a few grid bots on Bybit and other exchanges, and when you in a range, they work absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you can say to the grid, if you are more, a grid bot that is long, or grid bot that is short, or a grid bot for a range. You can modify it. And for ranges, I mean, here a grid bot would have made insane gains, because it literally buys the lows, right, and sells the highs of a range. But the moment you get a volatile move out of the range, that grid bot will very likely go to negative. It's just, I've tried a few of them, and it's every time it's the same. It's the same story all the time on these grid bots. The moment, I mean, this might have been very, very good. This would have supported very nicely, but maybe this movement to the upside, the grid bot would have gone a little bit crazy, like, short. That's how grid bots work. They try and long at specific, levels of the range and short at the highs. The moment you get a big volatile move out of the range, then the grid bot is going to short. I mean, it depends on how you program it, I guess. You can program it as more bullish, which it goes more aggressive buying the lows and less aggressive selling the highs of the range. But I've tested a few, and every time there's volatility, it fucks up, guys. It's just it's always been like that with grid bots. I set my range between 18 and 25 years old. You were talking. Yeah, talking Tinder, my man. That's right. Yeah, trade the range. 18 to 25 years. That's the sweet spot, I guess. My man, Mark Dutch, always giving the spicy comments. I'm in no arithmetic or geometric. Yeah, not in any. It is what it is, my man. Thanks, much love, 𝗞𝗚𝗍𝗍. Let's go through. I'm not sure. There's not many other people who don't want to talk about altcoins. Harry is actually Karen. Staff one, bro, market looks like a shock that we smoke and we just pass it around. Yes, it does. Not much more to discuss, guys. I want to talk on a next video update or live stream about why there is high probability that we are going to see a massive altcoin season, guys. Okay? Because looking at the history on the weekly chart, not only for the total 3, which is altcoins, but the total 1, which is all of cryptocurrency, looks like that we are finishing the end stages of a big massive bubble, guys, by the looks of things, because you do have a 5-wave move to the upside, both of them in a kind of a contracting diagonal, total 1 and total 3, and with a local structure, it still looks very, very bullish. Still looks very bullish. We are still in our way of forming the last leg up, which should explode to higher levels in the coming months, guys, okay? Stay aware of those little shakeouts. Bitcoin dominance likely going to get a bounce, so we might get a little bit of shaky out period, guys, where people are going to freak out. But it's it's natural to happen. Ethereum needs to pull back. Come on, what's Ethereum doing? Get down already. Get a pullback, Ethereum, because my God, this rally that we've had has been absolutely insane. Miss out all-time high by $100 or two, right? And this is poised for a pullback, guys. The pullback is the moment that we need to detect. All right, we need to detect that pullback. Without a doubt, Ethereum's going to smash out through all-time high. There's no doubt about it. But come on, guys. You know, in the last 4 or 5 weeks, we've been pumping over $2,000. Calm down. Hey, chill out. Ethereum, chill out, okay? We know that you are going to go to higher levels, but come on, you know, get a little bit of a shaky out movement, form a little bit of a range, a wave 4 potentially, you know, and then get your leg throughout the end of the year to the upside on that 5th wave, regardless if it's going to be expanding or not, hit 6K or 7K. We don't know, but we need to take advantage of that correction without a doubt. Okay, stay calm, stay cool, stay chilled. No bearish signs for Bitcoin. Still high probability to take out all-time high at some point whenever this range finishes. I do expect that we do continue in this area for the next coming days, 1 to 2 weeks. I am looking for big swing trades, which I will let know the people in the Telegram or the Pro community where my next big trade on Bitcoin is going to be. We do have the rest of the coaches, such as Dylan, that is providing nice scalps on altcoins. If you are interested in that, guys, join the Telegram, which is the first link down below. Okay, that's the free Telegram, and we can hook you up into the Signals channel, okay? Or the Legends Pro community, right? We'll give you the different deals to join the Legends Pro, where we have 𝗬𝗆𝘆𝗽𝗍, Aiden, you know, myself, and also Dylan, putting market updates every single day, okay? And different scenarios and setups that could happen, levels, okay? Join the Telegram down below to get more info on that. Much love to everybody, okay? Thank you very much for joining. Today is Friday. Spend some time with your friends and family. Have a beer. Go for a run. Go party. Stay chilled, guys. It is Friday. Remember that Phemex has got a great deal as well, okay? 20% cash back on your deposit, and you can earn some Solana as you trade, okay? You also have that link down below, guys. It is the 5th link down below for Phemex, okay? Much love to everybody. Stay safe. Mark Dutch, much love. Pac-Man, much love. 𝗬𝗫𝗂𝗿𝗍. Stay strong, Maku. Big boy. Enjoy the weekend. Much love to everybody, okay? Smashing up the like button and subscribing to the channel. It is going to happen, guys. 100K by the end of the month. Thank you for joining. Take care. And I'll see you in the next one.